Oh, hi guys. Um, yeah, I got sidetracked there for a minute. I'm back. Um, was actually internet shopping for engine parts. I need some 1/4 inch by 3/4 dowel pins. I was sort of looking for them. Buy them online because you can't get them anywhere in Glenray or even Coffs probably. And I need some 3/8 hexagon steel stock, which you also can't get anywhere here. Don't need much of that, so I'll get some of that. Um, Need a bit of 3/4 by 3/4 square brass. That's going to be a bit more difficult. But anyway, been looking. Buy an American design, everything's imperial, so we'll live with that. Anyway, brass is imperial anyway. So I'm here. I'm not sure I'm. Can everyone hear okay? Is that fan downstairs too much? Do you want me to go and turn it off? It sort of drowns out the cows and the crickets, which is good. Anyway, what's happening as far as CAD work goes? Oh, there's 1,000 CAD jobs, but probably the pressing one is Carl's low angle block plane. So we're going to mess with that tonight, I think. Um, we'll have a look and sign in because I still haven't worked out how to make this cursor bigger, which is a bit of a problem. I'm going to have to try a different platform, I think. It's a bit of a nuisance having a tiny little cursor on the screen. And I don't know how to fix that. There's quite a lot happening here as far as projects and things. We'll open that and we'll click on this, which is Carl's low copy block plane. This isn't looking too shabby. However, we've got to put an adjuster in it, and we've got to move this. So this front, it doesn't need to be anywhere near this big. This throat. So what we're going to do is move this face here down this way quite a way, which means moving all this bit here further down the plane, and minimizing this shoulder here. There's a bit of work in that. And then from there, dragging this out here a bit to put an adjuster in so that the adjuster goes in and doesn't actually come through the floor. So let's have a look. This is what we had before. The theory is to move this back. Honestly, we can move it back 1 inch, maybe 25 mil. I reckon it'd probably be a good start. How do we even attempt that? That's not what we want. How do we even attempt this? We'll have a look at a section view. and just type in where we want the section view, which is halfway. And we'll have a look at this section. This all wants to move that way, like all this arrangement here. Somewhere up here we must have some sketches. This is all over the place because I've tidied up Carl's sketch, and no excuses for him, except that there's not a logical sequence to any of this because a couple of us had a go at it. And I haven't seen a sketch yet of this. So where do we start? Turn off section view. We'll come down here and have a look and see on our what we've actually done. We're back up here somewhere. We're getting closer. Now, if we suppress that boolean, there we go. What that did was put these pieces back in it. So that's not the answer. We'll unsuppress that. This was a bit of messing around. And what was this extrusion? We turn that off. Hide that. I'm thinking out loud here because that's really messed things up. Let's start with this sketch, I think. On the top view. We'll use these arrows, we can turn it around like that. Good question. That's the cutout sketch for that. I don't think we're back far enough yet. Captain Breno says can't beat paper and pencil. That's correct. But turning these into actual castings means that CAD is a little bit simpler. And to be honest, I haven't really looked at this. Sketch 5, fill 1, sketch 2, sketch 1. Edit sketch 1 and see what that is. Oh, that's not it. Maybe we just move some of these along. If we click on there, up here somewhere there is a offset surface command, move boundary command, offset surface, that's not it. Replace face 1 isn't it. It's this one here, is move face. If we click on that, and we said, what did we say, 25 mil. Now that hasn't really fixed it because we've got these fillets here in the corner. Edit fillet 2. So fillet 4 is that one. Fillet 4, if we suppress that, so it's not showing. There we go, that works. So we move that forward 25 mil. If we do the same with this one here, 25. 26, 24. Ah, come on, don't do that to me. It's not going to want to do that. So let's try something else. Because we've made this a plane, no, I think I've probably bitten off more than I can chew. No, not at all. Let's sort this out. Let's delete that. Fillet 3, we're going to delete that. I'm just going to suppress it. We're going to delete it. There we go. We've got a square corner. That makes it a little bit easier. This face here, we're going to move along. $25 mil. Now we're on to something. Let's move that face back there. Is that too far? Probably not. I've got a fancy little face in here, a fillet. What's that one? It's extrude 12. If we suppress that, that's a block someone's put in there. Why have we put a block in there? Anyway, let's try that. I'm not sure that's going to work. I'll try this one here. That's going to work. 25 mil. That doesn't work. What we're going to do is, there's a fillet in here. That's probably some of the problem. Fillet 6. There's our problem. Let's delete that. There we go. There's no fillet there. From the top, and we will move this round sideways so it's easy to see. There we go. Let's make a new sketch on this plane here. And we'll use this function here, which is, this one is use or project. Will we project that one? We'll project that line. That line, that line, that line, and that line. Gives us a sketch. Now, if we offset this line here, 25 mil, we can't offset the lot. So, okay, we'll just start with this one. We offset this. 25. That brings that back here, which is nearly in line with this. If we extend that, gosh, it's been a little while. We want the X key, but if we extend this out here, like so, that's not the actual dimension we want. What we want, if we're going to measure this, we want this distance from here if we move that out 25 mil, then that I'm going to undo that, and what we're going to do is draw a line here, make it a construction line, why not? 25 mil, 25. I don't know if you're going to learn anything on this one, because I'm sort of, and if we do the same here, Q for construction line, and back here, 25, that's better. And then Q to get rid of the construction line and come across there, that gives us a line. But if we have a look, the dimension between that line and that line is only 21 and a half. That's over constrained. Command Z or Control Z or whatever your system is to sort that out. And we can delete that line and that line. And that line. And that moves our frog back to there, which is about where it wants to be. Our N brings that round for normal. We don't want to, we really didn't want to delete all those. We didn't think that through very well. This gap in here, if we extrude that and remove it, like so, remove that. And that puts that back where it should be. So now we're getting somewhere. Next job is to move this frog along. We need to move this down here to there, or within a couple of mil. Plane 5. Nope. Let's try for no different plane. Plane 4, plane 3, plane 2. Now this is not real simple because we want to keep this, because this plane here is not level this way or this way. We really need to move it outwards or upwards. We need to move it this direction. Click on that, what lights up, and then we can sort of see what actually works. It's not that one. Let's move this up. We'll try that. If we go here to move face and we click on that one, and that should fix it. We can just drag that up, I think. There we go. That's sorted that out. Roughly. Let's go 10 mil. And it's not doing that for some reason. Could not move selected faces as directed. So we're going to have to do this again. So a new plane, I think we're going to put a plane in. Plane. And we're going to offset it. We're going to offset that. We're going to offset it 25 mil. So that's the angle of the plane. It's on an angle that way, and it's on an angle that way. So what we've done is put a plane in the same angle as this. Now, we'll move it around sideways so everyone can actually see. If we have another sketch here, look at this fillet first. Which is fillet 1. Let's suppress that for a start. So that gives us a square edge at least. And we use the use or the project function. New sketch. Let's put a new sketch on this plane. And then we'll use the use or project function to select that one. That one. And that one. And that one. And then extrude that. It sort of works. We're going to have to mess around with this a bit, but if we extrude it 7 millimeters, I reckon it's a good start off there. But we can't do it. What we need to do is go up to the face, or up to part. And we select surface or part, which is that. And that puts the first one in there. And then the second end position. So let's go 18 mil in the opposite direction. And that gives us 7 millimeter. And from there, what we can probably do, I think, is move this face out. So what we've done is moved that up 7 millimeters, and we've put it, but it's not quite right because we've got a gap along here because it's moved it offset a little bit. Fairly easy to fix from here, I think. Go back to sketch 7. And let's offset this. And we extend this line out to there. Extend this line out till nope. We'll extend this line here out to there. And we'll extend this line here. No, we'll draw a new line in because that's just a dimension we've got there, I think. And use trim, which is M. Yeah, like that. Let's extend that over the edge. And let's put that in fairly clean, I think. I think 7 mil is probably too far, but we can probably adjust that now. we move that to 20 mil, which means that this is, what are we? Gosh, I'm going to have to print this to actually see how we're going. If we put this part back in, that's not it. Put part 5 back in and move it along. There's a lot of fillets, but yeah. We transform this part, X, Y, Z. Now, this is upside down blade in this, and we've got to think about that a bit. Right, what we've got. Is this piece here is much too long. Put some dimensions on this, I think. We might have to draw this up again, I think. That's not working for me. Anyway, that's getting somewhere near. We've got more space in the back here. We've got room to put some fillets in here. So what do we do about this shape here in the front? Do we leave it? It's a bit smaller. One thing we can certainly do is start all this all over again, which is what we probably should do. That's that hole. We can change that or move that. Some external references are missing. Let's put a new dimension on here between there and there. It's all over the place. Move that to 25 mil and click OK. See what we end up with. What we end up with is most of that missing for some reason. We can probably fix that very easily by moving this right to this end. Ah, that didn't fix it. Move that back. Ah, there we go. That's where we've gone wrong. And someone's actually named that, which was probably me, elongated in adjustment hole. This one. Now we don't want this on face of extrude 5 because there we go. If we drag this down here a bit, probably right to the bottom. Still won't help, but what we can do, what has that done? It's messed us all up. You're quite welcome to look away while we get this sorted. That's back where we were. That is extrude 9. Now what we need to do is move extrude 9, I think, not the sketch. We move extrude 9 down there and edit extrude 9. Merge scope should be part 1. That's probably nearly fixed that. I think it still wants to come forward a bit. So let's come back here to this one. And we'll put that dimension back in here because I think we may have undone that. Yep. At 25. Let's fix that. Let's sorted that problem out. So we can put some decent fillets in here. I don't know what it needs. I don't know what's going to look best. If we put a fillet here and here, is that going to look okay? We're just going to... That's way too much, isn't it? No, let's fill it properly. I think we're going to do is just leave it as it is. Looking at that. More than 2 mil. Let's try 4. Bit chunky. We'll try 3. We'll keep that as a standard. So there we go. I feel like I don't like this here, where it steps down like that. I'm not sure I like that. I'd like to see this come through and then this chop the end of it off. I might have to work on that. We're going to put a fillet in the back here. We'll go with 25 mil. That cleans that up nice. And this one here, I don't know what to do about this line along here. We fillet that back the other way. I think that's what I did before. That's too much. And that gives us a fairly nice finish there. I like that a bit. We also need to fillet this here. Like so. That's starting to look something like. And if we did the same thing here, we've sort of got that looking pretty good. So that's what we got. Now, the front of that looks sort of a little bit nice. I don't mind that. I don't know if I like this right up here like this, that section there. It's probably easier to machine off. But do we leave it like that? Don't know. Maybe it's probably strongest. If we have a look here and measure this wall here, 122, which gives us a blade length of about 150 millimeters. I'm sort of liking that. Okay. Hey, James. Good morning. So that's what we've probably got. What do we do about this at the back? It's a bit of a nuisance having the sketch oriented that way, to be honest. But anyway, you get that. This back area here, what do we do here? We've got to put an adjuster in here on this surface. And we need to make some sort of a, do we just put a fillet here and around there on each side? So if we fillet that 4 millimeters, which is what we've gone with everywhere else, that's too many fillets. I don't like that much. Try that. That's probably not bad. That gives us a nice sort of a look. We also need to put something in here to bolt the tote on. Let's have a look at the talking head for a minute. TNB, g'day. This is a terrible live stream, TNB. I'm sorry. Now, let's have a look here. We've got this, which is an adjuster, right? It's got a knob on this end, and it's got a round piece that sits inside the metal. Like we'll sit this down inside in a hole, so it turns that way and adjusts in and out. And this has got a knob in the side here that goes in the blade. So what we have is lateral adjustment like this. And this here has a double compound, or like a compound thread, I guess you'd call it. and that adjusts in and out. So when you turn this, you can adjust that in and out. So that's really nice. These are Veritas, I think, is the brand of them. They're quite a nice thing with a brass knob and everything. Proper threads. It's got 2 threads the same pitch, I believe. I haven't studied it too much. But when you wind this, the distance goes half as much between here and here. So sorry about the terrible fingernails. I've been making broom handles all day. So if we put a hole in for this, right in the middle, and a groove or a space for, we're mirrored here, sorry guys, for this to move around and move backwards and forwards, and a groove out the back for this rod, probably have some success with that, and just drop in there, and all that's going to keep it captive is the blade. So let's do that. We put a new sketch in. We won't use that plane. We'll just go straight on that surface, I think. If we press N for normal, that'll give us the right angle for that. And probably use that line, and that line, use the derive button, and probably this one, and probably this one. If we close part 1, that's what we end up with. If we extend this out here, just for funsies, use the extend tool or the X, stretch that out to there, stretch this one out to there. And then the M button or trim this one off, trim this one off. Get rid of those dots there, which it doesn't need by any means. And we get a ruler is next. Did I bring a ruler upstairs with me? Probably not. A bit terrible. I had about 5 rulers here, and I thought they were all upstairs, but all the rulers went back downstairs because we're modern engineering this week. And I haven't got a clue what I'm seeing here, so I'm going to turn the light on. It's probably going to blind everyone. Except our lights come unhooked. Let's try again. There we go. Is that blind everyone? Don't know. Of course, that's 3/4 by 1/2 inch. So if we just drew a circle here and picked our origin point as, I don't know, maybe picked our origin point as the, going to have to make that part of our, that's not going to work. Not going to pick our origin point at all. Let's put a construction line down here from the center. And we'll make that, we'll put a dimension on it. We'll call that 20 millimeters. That puts that in there. if we drill a hole here, or we turn a hole, we make a dimension here that says 3/4, and you can do that. You can just put 3/4 inch like that. We'll try 0.75. Sorry, we try IN for inch, and that gives you a selection there, so we can select. Oh, come on. There we go, 19.05. And if we turn part 1 on, that's about where that's going to sit. So we do an extrusion, maybe. But not that piece. I only want that piece. And we want to remove it. And we want to go 0.5 inches. Come on. And that's where that sits in. It doesn't come through the bottom, which is excellent. If we have a look at a section, section G, this, back where it was. It's probably not terrible. That's a good position for that. I like that. Looks like that's probably going to work. Pretty happy with that. Rid of part 5 because it's in the way. It's starting to look like something. Sketch 18. Edit that sketch. We press N and brings it over normal or on the normal plane. We'll put a line through there, about there somewhere, parallel with that one, and a dimension on it. Millimeters, something like that. Too much. What's everyone else doing tonight besides being bored to death with this? Mirror that. And a 3-point arc or something on this side, so that it's about like that. And trim that piece, that piece, that piece, that piece, and that piece is too much, really. What we're going to find is that it cuts a hole in there. Doesn't want to be that deep. So what we need to do is change that sketch. What we need to do is put another arc back in there, I think. So that's just extruded that, and all we need to do then is extrude the other part. This one and this one, they don't need to be that deep. Let's try 7mm. And that looks like something in the right sort of trench to make that work. Something like that, I think. Probably not exact, but we can make that work. I've got a feeling this needs another hole in here. But we'll have a look at our section view again just to make sure we've done the wrong thing here. But looking at that, it's not going to come through the bottom of the plane, so pretty happy with that. TMB is making more fixes. It's a never-ending job. I understand that. This is going to require a bit more work than expected, to be honest, to get this to where we want it. Press P and get rid of that plane. And we've got an open sketch here somewhere, which is annoying us. There we go. We've also got an origin point here that's annoying the crap out of us too. If we click that, get rid of that. So that's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty solid in bronze. Casting it's going to be some fun. I'm not really feeling like it because it's going to need a couple of mil on it because we've got a sharp edge here that the metal's not going to bore into. I think probably we're going to put a fillet across here or a brace across here so that it actually pours in with a nice round corner and then machine that off later rather than trying to machine the whole lot. So anyway, that's looking more like. I think it needs a stub here to put the bolt in for the tote. And by the tote we mean this part here. That's got a bolt there, and probably it's just going to have a stud there. The problem with just putting a bolt there like that on that tote, which is kind of nice, but it's not the Stanley one, which has got a bolt all the way through. This is much easier to, well, it's easy and it isn't. Our problem is that to put that countersunk in there underneath that handle, Carl, if you're actually watching, that's going to be a fun thing. It looks good on paper, but you can't really drill that down and countersunk it to put a screw in. So that doesn't really work. You could probably 3D print one, or you could maybe CNC it. I don't like your chances. So as far as a tote goes, that's not a smart thing. A proper Stanley tote or a record tote has a bolt through here like this with a nut at the top on an angle, which works very well. And they've got another stud in the front that locates and stops it turning. So that's where we're at. I don't know if I like this writing on here. I think that's a bit boring. I'd like to fix several things. We've been here, what, an hour? There's lots of things I'd like to fix. I'd like to fix this here, I think. There's actually a sketch called Profile. Let's offset this for a 6mm and see how this looks. He's done this. Yeah, I see. 6mm. If we delete this and we extend this extend tool is very useful. And this, of course, is a spline, so we can't extend that. But if we run this past here and then trim it, use our M button. I'm going to have to get back into this program a bit more than I am. Trim that there. And we'll put a line across here. Completes that. And that hasn't fixed anything. Why is it so? Something doesn't work. End rounds. It's cancelled that out on both ends for some reason. Why is it so? This is such a nuisance being that way round. If we put a 3-point arc across here, That's not right. Between that point and that point, and we make that 45 mil, the same as the back one. What does that do? We've stuffed something up. Back where we started, righto. That didn't work. Hey everyone, that didn't work. I'm sort of trying to. Hey Mark, you didn't need to make it, but we're trying to sort this out. If we go back up here to this first sketch, which is profile, and change that radius, see if that fixes it. It hasn't really, but what we can do is move this face, and I think we've probably fixed it. And that's fixed it. That's what we wanted to do. Don't know if that's really as good as we thought, but anyway, we're going to do the same with this one. I'm certainly a little bit more proficient with the mouse and the Macintosh than I was 2 months ago, so we're doing all right here. I'm feeling a little bit accomplished, even though I haven't really got a clue what I want to do here. See, this one's filled it all the way up and this one hasn't. See, we've only got to fill it to there. And that's because that last move face isn't quite right. There we go, that's sorted that out. So let's change the look of that a bit, and I don't mind it. We could put a little fillet on there maybe. See how that looks. And that's got that shape sort of pretty well sorted. I like that. I really do. So as far as a prototype goes, I think we're doing a little bit closer. We've certainly, this is a lot easier than making one out of wood and then trying again next time. I think we could 3D print this, see how it actually looks, see what actually happens, and have another look at it next week if anyone's too bored. I don't know if I like that fillet there. That right down here, I'm thinking out loud more than anything. We'll probably put a vertical. Uh, how's that look? That might be better. If we did the same on this one and changed it to a variable fillet, that's something we haven't really looked at. It's a bit sort of, this tick here is a variable fillet. And we can select the vertices where we want it. So that one doesn't work. Let's try this one. And that's quite nice. That fixes that problem. I don't think it fixes this one. And try again with this. It mightn't be bad. That's much nicer. So fix that. And I think this one here, which is fillet 7, needs some. Let's make this a variable fillet 2. And our vertices is that one and that one. If at this point we make this 4 millimeters, 2 millimeters on that end. That might be a bit more organic and nice. I like that. Righto. I like this here. I don't mind the writing there now. We'll fix that. I think the writing needs a little bit of work, and we might just do that before. So sketch 13, we're going to put edit, and we're going to rename that as badge, whatever we put here. Now, do we leave it there? Do we put it back up there? Do we make it in a curve? Do we make it in an oval? If we did something like this, I've stuffed that up. Don't like that very much. If we edit the text and do it this way, we'll completely mix this up. Transform button there. We transform that. And then transform it again there. Make that line there. I'm not really liking that. We can easily just press that and go back to where we were. And from there, go Command Z, undo that. We might live with that for a bit. I'll think about that. As far as I can see, that's probably where everything needs to be for now. I think I'm going to print another one of these. TMB, yes, we will be casting this. I've got most of the bits, right? Carl's, my friend at work, has bought new adjusters, which is nice. And the length of 01 for blades, so it's too late really to back out because he's a couple $100 into this project. The problem is that he's moving away, or he's finishing up at work this week, and we've been dragging our feet on this for a few months. I think it's definitely doable, but this week I would like to have another copy that we can sit the adjuster in and sort of we can sit the adjuster in and the blade in, and we can have a bit of a look at it and think what else needs moving, what else needs changing, and I can do that remotely then. So we cast them in gunmetal or bronze or something. Probably shell casting them. There's some interesting challenges with casting this, to be honest. More than you would. I can see a lot of problems with it, to be honest. Casting them in bronze and getting them to cast properly. I think they need to be modified at the mouth so that there's so there's not a thin patch there, which means that there'll be a section on the bottom that needs to be machined off, and it should also stop a bit of slump and stuff like that. Also not sure that this part we've got here. I've got a great big mouse on my screen and you don't, so I'm sorry about that. But do we... What if we did this? This is stupid. Why do we do that? What if we did this? Now, something like this. I'm just guessing this measurement. Don't know if I like it. That's not really the answer. The square is probably nicer. What machining does it need? Good question. It needs the side cheeks flattened and the base flat, and this piece in here needs cleaning up here, and probably if we have a look at the bottom of it, this will need to be machined out here, and this slot needs to go in here. This will need machining. It's just got an adjustable front. I'm not sure we're going to put a lever on there or just a screw down knob maybe to move the frog in and out. There's some challenges with this project because of its length. I think more than anything, it was just a little block plane or a infill infill smoothing plane or something, it probably wouldn't be a problem. But it's got some interesting stuff here. I think it's strong enough in the mouth that it's not going to be a problem, but I think pouring that mouth as it stands is going to be a bit of a challenge. Do we slope this face here the same as we slope this face? If we have a look here and turn our section view on, see this has got a slope on here, this one doesn't. Do we slope it to match? That might be very nice. It would certainly make it easier to cast. If we have a look at this, our we can't measure angle off there. That's 102 degrees there. If we slope this one 102 degrees here, that might fix that problem that we've got here that I don't like. So this fillet, and delete this. This is the square edge again. We're not. Let's go back. We're just going to delete that face. Probably that face too. So if we do a sketch, turn all our planes on and we do a sketch on the right plane, we can turn them off again. And we click the use or the project tool. And we draw a line down here at 102 degrees from there. It's nothing like that. Put dimension on it though. 102. Cut this one out. This one out. This one. Something like this. See what I've done there? No, you haven't. You didn't see that at all. But if we extrude that section now symmetrically out, say 55 mil, because I think the plane's 60 mil wide. As part of it, let's change that quite considerably. If we turn off our section view, is there a shortcut to turn off section view? I don't think so. And then we find fillet 3 and we drag this right to the end because it does nothing else affects that. I don't think. It does. Look at that. It changes that. We're not going to do that. Let's put a new fillet in there instead. And 4mm we said, didn't we? So that looks all right, I think. I don't know. I don't know if I like that or not. We'll have to print it and find out. It certainly makes it easier to cast. This is going to need a fillet in here if there's any way, I hope in the world of ever casting it on the pattern. It's going to need a piece across the front here as a stabilizer with a big fillet in the back so that the cast bronze actually pours down here. It's going to need some bits on here to support the tote. And probably to pour this in here like this, it's going to need some fillets in here as well that will be machined out later. So the thing that I don't like is this sketch here. What we've done, right, we've got a radius here, if we have a look. It's 4mm, it's 8mm. What we need to do is make this 14mm so that there's some wiggle room there. Do that. Then that might work. But how much closer is that than it should be? Turn our section view on again so we can have a look at that. There's plenty of meat in there. Righto. Anyway, that's some progress, I guess. So Carl will probably watch this at some point in his busy life. He might actually give me some feedback tomorrow, I hope. We'll see how we go. Sorry about that. This is definitely for his benefit. And for my benefit to get this somewhere near where it needs to be. I think I'm about done here. I have got a video going on my YouTube channel sometime in the next 24 hours. It's sort of almost edited. If I spend another half hour now, I'd get it where it needs to be. I might be on Discord for a bit, anyone who wants to chat. But I'm probably, the next few nights, I'm going to print one of these out and have a bit of a look at where it needs to be before the end of the week, which gives me 3 days, something like that. So might start the printer now and see how we go. But I'm not feeling that that's the final vision for that. But we'll print one and we'll find out where it needs to be and what it needs. I don't like this here with that adjuster just hanging out the end. If we put a curve around here, like we did only a bit slighter off this center or somewhere, so that this knob follows a curve, and then put a big fillet in the end, that would probably give us some nice, that I think would feel better. I might hold off printing it until tomorrow, and tomorrow night I might have a play with this maybe after work, see what I end up with, or I might even have a play with it tonight, but I've got to work in the meantime. Anyway, thanks guys. I'm done. There'll be a decent update on my channel tomorrow night live stream. That's worth watching because there's a lot of things that we want to talk about, and there's a lot of things that I have achieved or not achieved, or things to look at. And like TMB says, the never-ending traction engine and steamroller repair, and probably the a bit of a look at all the other things that are happening, like a donation box and a couple of steam engines have been restored and stuff like that. Anyway, injector too. We'll have a look at the injector. Anyway, I'm out, I think, guys. I might go over to the kitchen for a bit and grab something to eat because I don't think I've eaten anything since maybe 10 o'clock or something. And we'll see what anyone thinks or says, or see what Carl says about this tomorrow. But I'm, at this point, I'm not loving a couple of points that I'd like to fix out. But it's probably a matter of 3D printing one and writing on it with text of what we want to do and then coming back and achieving that, to be honest. It's probably the best way to go forward from this. Anyway, thanks, guys. I'm out. And tomorrow night should be a good live stream, to be honest. That's the workshop live stream. So it's down there. Anyone who's watching this, come and watch that too, because it's a better one. Absolutely. This one's a bit sort of sketchy. Excuse the pun. But at the moment, it's been used to focus a bit on some of the projects I'm doing. And sometimes there's no focus at all, like now. Anyway, I'm out, guys. Catch ya. Be kind to each other, me in particular, and more soon.